Now, when we throw in an external stimuli, like that pre-workout drink, the caffeine, the ephedrine, or even hydrocodone for that matter, now you've completely disrupted your body's ability and your mental ability to gauge how to auto-regulate. So now is that 70, 80% training zone really that 70, 80% training zone?
That's a good point. Yeah.
And are you putting yourself at a higher risk because now you can't regulate unless... Well, if anybody's on this thing, you can start asking questions. How's that? If not, we're just going to roll with the ones that we got asked on Instagram, as this is going to be Table Talk edition. So we're going to kind of watch this, but the Instagram questions are going to be fed to us, so we're not going to be looking at those. I just hit a broadcast PR. That ain't a PR, dude. It's just work. You know, people and their fucking PRs. Yeah, go ahead and fire something off.
The best food pre-workout really isn't a food. The best energy producer of pre-workout that's legal and affordable and available is just going to be caffeine. I mean, a lot of people like coffee. I actually recommend just using no-dose tablets. Taking about 30, 45 minutes before a workout. If you really want to get legal, but not for the legal intended use anymore, you could get ephedrine still. You can find it at a pharmacy. I don't know if I should...
Sudafed?
Yeah, Sudafed will work. Yeah, as far as food, really your food for the pre-workout is really primarily done the day before. I mean, glycogen storage is a time-consuming thing, and so basically what you're eating eating the day before, the carbohydrates you're eating get stored as glycogen and be used for training. But pre-workout, I like to not use a huge meal. I usually use a moderate fat meal. A typical pre-workout meal for me will be a lean ground beef, rice, or maybe even grits, and then maybe a spoonful of peanut butter. But if you're looking for energy from food pre-workout, you're looking in the wrong place. Pre-workout, the energy is going to come from some kind of stimulant like caffeine.
This actually, let's stay on this topic, because this, I think, can segue into something that it's kind of been a pet peeve of mine, but Justin may be able to explain upon it a little bit more. And I know what I don't know that you probably do know. So when it comes to we're just going to go forget the nutritional aspect. We'll just say pre-workout supplementation, and that can be the pre-workout drinks. Well, I guess now they don't drink them; they just throw the scoop in their mouth because that's more hardcore. Or going back old school, like I used to do, taking caffeine, ephedrine, and aspirin, and that kind of stuff.
That was the best. Yeah.
That there's kind of two areas of thought that I've always had on this. Is if you're training for bodybuilding and muscle hypertrophy, you have, in my opinion, what I would define as a greater room of error, greater variance, to where you can go in there and you don't have to be mentally aware as you would have to be if you were training as a strength athlete for heavy singles.
I would compound on that and even say for pure hypertrophy, it's almost counterproductive to be too mentally aware and too stimulated, because the things you take that create that stimulant, they create that energy from somewhere, and that energy is from stored energy in the body, which you store energy in three ways: carbohydrates as glycogen in the muscle, fat in the body, and then carbohydrates in the muscle and the liver, and then protein as muscle. Well, the easiest way to break down tissue for the body is to break down muscle tissue, and too much stimulation is actually breaking down the muscle tissue to fuel the workout. And so it's actually, as far as from a hypertrophy standpoint, it's almost counterproductive to be too focused, too stimulated, because what's fueling that focus and that stimulation is the breakdown of muscle tissue. Where you're training for strength and you're training for numbers, you need that focus and you need that stimulation.
This is going to become very interesting very quickly, because the thought process that I put out when people ask me about pre-workouts for pure strength, powerlifting is what I'm speaking about, singles, triples, is I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Because they have to come into the gym. Let's say you're driving to the gym, you've worked all day, and you're like, man, I kind of feel like shit, your lower back's tight. the whole time you're driving to the gym, you're mentally processing, how do I feel? And let's say you projected to have 80% for a triple. Then you get in the gym, you're like, I feel okay, and you start warming up, and you're like, fuck, I might want to back it down 10 or 20 pounds because it's just not quite there. You're mentally processing all these indicators from how your body feels, how your brain's reacting, how your muscles coordinating with your brain and your central nervous system to see if you're ready. You're auto-regulating is what you're doing. So as when you begin working up, at some point in time, you have to make that decision. Okay, my body's ready to do this. Okay, I need to force myself to do it, which is usually a mistake, which most of us have all made, or I'm gonna back off a little bit. Now, when we throw in an external stimuli, like that pre-workout drink, the caffeine, the ephedrine, or even hydrocodone for that matter, now you've completely disrupted your body's ability and your mental ability to gauge how to auto-regulate. So now is that 70, 80% training zone really that 70, 80% training zone?
That's a good point.
And are you putting yourself at a higher risk because now you can't regulate unless you always use it and it becomes baseline?
Oh, exactly. And then what ends up happening is that without it, your workouts, you have no ability to judge where your workouts are. Your workouts are low intensity. I know exactly what you're saying. And the same thing happens just in general daily life. You go to work 9 to 5 and you start taking, drinking your coffee in the morning. And after a year or two, it's without your coffee, you're a zombie. And so it no longer does anything. And truthfully, the best kind of focused energy you can create is self-created from adrenaline. Everyone hears the story, they always say stories about a mom lifting a car off a kid or something after a car crash. And really by taking external stimulants, you kind of take away from your body's ability to tap into that natural adrenaline power.
And even that adrenaline to a certain degree with strength training can be counterproductive as well, because now instead of just, and this is making this very, very simplified, instead of just taxing your muscular system and training in that training max zone, you just entered a competitive zone, which now is going to take you longer to recover from. Produces more cortisol. Not everybody can train, balls out. That's what meets are for. So.
And a lot of the recovery from training, people always think, can I recover muscularly? Can my muscles recover? But that's, especially when you get really, really heavy lifting, and that's what when I talk about, I know someone asked a question about why I changed my training style to higher volume, and part of the reason is the recovery from really heavy, really intense, total failure, high weight sets isn't just muscle recovery, it's CNS and total body recovery that you don't, unless when you're first starting out and you're lifting little weights, you don't have to worry about that. But as you get higher and higher up, and your nerve innervation in your muscles is better, your ability to tap into all that stuff is better, it starts becoming less of them. I get far less sore than I used to get muscularly, but just the mental drain of the entire.
Like getting beat with a club.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what it feels like. So the question would be then, outside of marketing purposes, what's the real reason for anybody to even use a pre-workout?
You
know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly, neither one of us sell the,
No, it's true. It's really to get people in the gym who aren't self-motivated to get in the gym, really. I mean, I think
I would agree with that.
Most of the people you see taking it are people, I think, everyone buys them, I guess, but I think that the biggest purchasers are people new to the gym, people who aren't in that obsessed, motivated, I can't wait to get to the gym and hit new weights or build new muscle. The people who aren't thinking about their workout all day, the people who get off of work and think, God, I don't want to go to the gym, I'd rather go home and have a beer. Well, this will make me want to go to the gym.
For the real newbies, which would be, say the high school kids or the real young kids that don't have any money. So instead of eating 2 peanut butter jelly sandwiches and 32 ounces of chocolate milk, they buy their pre-workout. So which is going to really benefit them more?
Not only is it going to benefit them for more, but like we talked about, that taking that external stimulant could even decrease their muscle growth, even if they were eating the peanut butter and chocolate milk. So not only are you not going forward with the nutrients, but by spending your food money on that stuff, you're actually taking 2 steps backward.
That's a great point. The other thing is, you've been at this a really long time. I've been at it for a very long time. We both love training. Frank question. in a given month, when you go to drive to the gym, how many times do you drive to the gym where you're like, man, I can't wait to get there?
Rarely anymore, but.
Exactly. I mean, that's the point that I think that's, the older we get, I think we're just more willing to admit it.
Yeah.
The younger we are, definitely more excited.
Oh, I remember not being able to sleep some nights before
Yeah.
if I was going to go for a new squat record, or if the first day I was going to hit 300 on bench or something. Where now I go through periods where typically my motivation comes where if you get to, like I just did a contest in July, and for about 5 weeks after that, had no motivation, wasn't training good, wasn't eating, and you get to the point where you reach your skinny fat
Yeah,
zone,
the threshold.
Yeah, where you look in the mirror and you're disgusted with yourself, and then you're highly motivated for a while, but then you get back to there's always the size level that you're at where you can get to that pretty quickly and make gains consistently, and then you reach there, and then each new gain is, and that's where I'm at right now, and that's where the motivation starts going for me, because you're like, I'm going to go kill myself on deadlifts and look the same next week.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people jump to those pre-workouts and all that, just assuming that everybody who's in the game is motivated to go to the gym every single day, and they're not. You just go because you're more motivated by what the outcome is going to be than the actual process. But once you get there, it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I used to say that I knew every exit road or every exit out on my way to Westside from London, Ohio. And as I was driving there, almost every day thought, I'm turning on this one. But you don't, you know, you force yourself to go. And that's where I fall back on the pre-workouts, because I think sometimes people are like, man, I really don't want to go. So they slam that shit and then they go, and they're also, are they negating their ability to be able to deal with this shit when they get older?
Oh, yeah.
When it's harder now.
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's actually easier for us to turn around.
Yeah.
Because we have reasons.
Yeah.
Family, kids, work.
Yeah, I haven't seen the kids this week.
Yeah. I mean, we have better justification.
Yeah.
Still excuses, but at least they're justified excuses. Where before it just would have been bullshit excuses.
Yeah.
Pulled my hamstring last week, you know. So that was a really good one.